Today on DNVR Buffs Live, we are back with our guy, Uncle Neely, to talk about a lot of things that we haven't talked about since the last time we caught up with him. And also, we're going to draft our favorite things about 4th of July and 4th of July weekend. Let's jump in.
Buff Nation!
Let's go.
Yo!
There he is.
Let's go, man. Welcome back, bro. How you been?
Hey, man, been great. Hey, you know what? When I miss you guys, I absolutely miss you guys. But the second we're back together, it feels like we haven't been apart at all.
Yes, it does.
Amen. Amen. Is it a little cool in your house there?
Man, let me tell you, when you're dealing with this Mississippi heat and humidity, you got to drop that thing down low. I mean, you almost got to spit on that thing. You got to get the air. You got to get the air. I got it freezing in here just to get ready to go outside.
Oh, it's the DNVR Pregame Show, actually, presented by Illegal Pete's, everyone's go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beers. Yes, Uncle Neely is back. We've got a lot to catch up on, Unc. Let's just start with probably the biggest news that Buff Nation is talking about. That's the visits from 2 weekends ago, Julian Lewis, all the guys who came in, the effort by this staff to find Shedeur Sanders' replacement. Just, I guess, your read on the current situation right now. It sounds like Juju is showing a lot of love to Colorado as it stands. There's a lot of buzz coming this way. Feels like it might be a two-horse race, and USC might be out of it, but just your overall read on the situation.
I think that's a great read right there, Jake. You summed it up perfectly. It's one of those things in this industry you just never know until you know. But if you're reading the tea leaves and you look at what's happening on social media, not just in fans' accounts and talking head accounts, but Juju's account and his bio and that kind of stuff, all those indicators are positive. And you'll take the positive indicators, over a negative indicator. One of the things I love about this whole process, though, going after a guy at this caliber, being all in on him, rolling out the red carpet for a visit, everybody that played a part in that, including you and other folks, man, it just also says to the world, Coach Prime ain't going nowhere. He is out there actively recruiting further down the road for if you were out there thinking he's leaving after Shedeur leaves or something. To go after a kid at Juju's caliber, to have an heir apparent to Shedeur Sanders, I think it speaks volumes about where this program is, that we're even in the running for that kind of guy, after only one season being played under Coach Prime, but also what it says about the future for this program and the coaches who are dedicated to being here.
I don't know what tea leaves are, but I consider myself pretty good at reading them. And I've been reading the tea leaves recently, and one thing that I find to be really interesting is no matter who talks about this, whether it's like a national recruiting expert, because you and I have kind of felt like it's a two-horse race, right? Between Colorado and Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else recently said, gosh, who was it? I think it might have been when we had Scott Proctor on. He said he thought it was a two-horse race between Colorado and USC. I saw another national recruiting analyst call it a two-horse race between Colorado and USC, with Auburn falling out a little bit. And so there's been two-horse race, three-horse race. But you know who's in every single race? Colorado. No matter if you're calling who you think is part of it, no one has said they don't think Colorado is a part of it. Mm-hmm. And I find that to be really interesting. Everyone's getting their information from different sources and different places. And obviously some are going to be more right than others when all is said and done. But no matter who anyone is talking to, they're coming away from it feeling like Colorado is in the mix.
Yep. Unc, you took it right to where I was going to ask you about it. It seems like, Coach Prime, the way this staff talks, the way Coach Prime is talking right now, it's, of course, a lot on this year, but it's about the future more so now than it has been in his time here the last year and a half.
Man, I love that, Jake. I'm hearing the same things. RK, I'm reading the same tea leaves when I'm in the office and around Coach Prime. You hear him talking long term. You hear him talking about years down the road, not just one season from now. And I think that the level that the alliance is working together and trying to get the NIL and collectives up, I think the way the staff is working together and communicating, including the players, high school especially, they're going after, it just says, man, these guys want to be here and are planning on being here and are trying to build something to get these wins up. not just for Miss Peggy's bowl game this year, but for years to come after that.
We talked about this before with just Coach Prime and the way that he kind of views things in his outlook. But in a world in which Coach Prime wins a national championship at Colorado, his legacy is plated in gold. No one can try to chip away at that. And that doesn't mean that he wouldn't be remembered as a legend if he went and won a national championship at a blue blood program that's always in that mix. But I do think Coach Prime thinks of it in that way too. Like, in a perfect world, he becomes a national champion head coach at the University of Colorado, and not a single person could ever say anything about him ever again when it comes to his coaching ability. And he told Joel Klatt, like, I don't want to be remembered as Primetime. I want to be remembered as Coach Prime. I want that to be my my legacy, and that the path to doing that at Colorado is probably the cleanest and clearest path that would just have that legacy untouchable.
Yeah, and that's absolutely what he brings to the table and has brought to the table for 30 years or more. You look at what he was able to do to the Atlanta Falcons with his presence. You look what he was able to do with the 49ers to get them over the hump and get that Super Bowl. And then, did the same thing with the Cowboys. He made the Atlanta Braves relevant, getting them on the cusp and into a World Series, something that hadn't happened in decades there. So he understands how he impacts the environment. As he says, he changes the temperature when he enters the room. And there's no better place than Colorado for his legacy, as you just said, wonderfully, RK, to be cemented. If he takes this, what was it, a 1-11 team, then 4 wins, and even this year, man, when you look at the way the landscape is the first year for the playoffs, how we can see getting to that Big 12 championship. You win that, you're in the playoffs. Anything happens. Like, this is not some 10-year down the road vision that he has. He is trying to win now and win multiple times, on that national championship stage. So I'm with you. No better place for him to be no longer known as Neon, Deion, or Prime Time, but Coach Prime, than to win a national championship in Boulder, Colorado.
Absolutely, man. We talked to Philip Dukes of On3 on Wednesday, and something that he said about this Juju situation, we asked him, if Juju does end up coming to Colorado, I mean, the recruiting is going to turn up even more. And we've already seen this offseason that the recruiting got turned up a notch compared to last offseason. So it's just an exciting time for this fan base, for this team, for this coaching staff, for everyone involved right now, because you can kind of see what's building with this program. And I can't imagine this momentum being stopped anytime soon.
No, man. Look, it's like circling the club. You looking, the party's gonna be live. The club is gonna be jumping, but nobody wants to be that first person to go in while the building is still kind of empty.
That's true.
And so when you look at the Travises and the Shedeurs and the people that will be exiting, you just need that first domino of that guy who wants to be first in the club. And it's going to then just lead to other ones coming, because people are going to want to play with Juju just like they wanted to play with Shedeur and Travis. And so you just need to land that first one in the post-Shedeur era. And then next thing you know, the club is packed. You're like, man, everybody showed up, because people driving by, they need to see a car in the parking lot. Nobody wants to be the first car. But when you look at guys like Juju and other people being recruited, they have that first car mentality. They understand in their meeting with Coach Prime that he's committed to being here. So it's not like, hey, what if I come and you change your mind? That ain't happening. So now they have some understanding and firm grasp of, I can play for this coach, this Hall of Fame coach, this guy who knows what the hell he's doing at all levels. I can play for him my entire college career, and I don't have to do this again.
I love that metaphor that you just used, because working in the startup community when we started this company, everyone used the exact same metaphor, but in a very different way. When we were talking to people about getting investors, they're like, oh, it's just like a pool party. Like, everyone shows up at the pool party and starts having drinks, but someone's got to be the first one to actually go in the pool for it. But I'm going to start using the club reference. I like it better. You might have seen a clip about this, but I just wanted to share this part of our interview with Philip Dukes with you, because I just want to see your reaction to it. He was talking about Juju and just how long he's been on the map, when he said that one of his friends was one of Juju's peewee football coaches going back to when he was 8 or 9 years old. And he said that he called him and said, I've got this kid who is 8 or 9 years old right now, but he's already carries himself like a grown-ass man. Does that sound like anyone to you?
Yeah, it sounds like grown. It sounds like Shedeur Sanders. It sounds like legendary. All the names and monikers you want to call him, because people have noticed that there was something different about him. Way back when he was playing small ball with Coach Prime and Truth, and even before that, he just moves differently. I can remember being here in Jackson, Mississippi. There's a guy from Moss Point named Devin Booker. He came up here to play basketball against the Jackson school. I was unaware of Devin Booker, but even during his warm-ups as an 11th grader, you just said, "Hey man, that guy's going to NBA." Like, you could just tell the attention to detail, the way he moved, the way he was focused. There was something different about him than the other people in the arena that night. And you see the same thing with Shedeur. You see the same thing with Juju. And they didn't just get this way because of the cameras. They were that way when there were no cameras around.
Something else we talked to Philip Dukes about was, Juju's being more linked to Colorado now. So now the criticism's starting to come out, of course, right? So people are bringing out that, he's kind of a smaller guy, especially that he's, reclassified to a year younger. But we were talking after the interview with Dukes on Wednesday, and one of the things that I threw out there was like, look at Shedeur when he came into Jackson State. Like, he was listed around the same size as Juju. But what Coach Mo was able to do in his time with working with Shedeur was really help build up his body, add to that muscle mass, just build up the frame. I mean, the guy's not going to grow like 4 inches, you know what I mean? But with someone like Coach Mo on your side, that's someone who can really help prepare maybe a younger player at this point in time to be able to play immediately. We've seen what Jordan Seaton did in one offseason's, worth of work with Coach Mo. So I guess just your thoughts on that and Coach Mo and the strength program.
So, RK, you loved my driving around the club waiting for people to go in before you analogy. How about the construction worker at the job site? Shout out to my construction workers. When the hot chick walks by and you start catcalling, and then when she doesn't give you any love, you go, "Oh, you were ugly anyway." It's amazing how everybody wants the people that Coach Prime recruiting, but the minute they decide to sign with him, now they weren't worth nothing. Travis Hunter was number 1 in the nation. He comes to Jackson State under Coach Prime. Then they list him at 2 or 3. Shedeur Sanders was no doubt a 5-star coming out of high school. They make him a 4. We've seen this thing play out where people try to dumb down and discredit these once-in-a-lifetime recruits. But once they come to Coach Prime, it's like, oh, now the ratings change on them, the rankings change on them. But to your point, Jake, I've seen Coach Mo do this, since his JSU days. He has what it takes to change your body. Travis has put on 17 pounds of muscle, man, and hasn't lost any speed in that. So what he can do with a young person's body, that has not come from a high school with a true strength and conditioning program, which most of them don't have. He introduces you to the weight room. He gets you to fall in love with the weight room. Any knock on any recruit's frame right now, it's going to be a totally different look 9 to 18 months later.
Great point.
Love it, man. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll dive into some more topics to catch up with Uncle Neely here. Shout out to our friends over at Better Health. We're going to eliminate the mental health stigma around the topic. Life is hard, man. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. I know we're all enjoying the 4th of July weekend and stuff right now, but reality is going to come back. Monday is going to come. All those real life problems come back. And maybe you need someone to talk to. That's where our friends at BetterHelp come in. It's entirely online. You can design it around your schedule to be convenient, flexible, and just suited to you. All you need to do is fill out a brief questionnaire, and you'll get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch at no extra charge. You can become your own soulmate, whether you're looking to find one or not, with our friends at BetterHelp. Go to betterhelp.com/DNVR today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DNVR.
Jake, nothing to ruin a great weekend like this one more than car troubles.
Of course.
Honestly, even being nervous about car troubles really sucks.
Yep.
I've never had to be nervous about car troubles with my Toyota, and I can always count on it to get me where I need to go, whether it's up in the mountains or across the country. I've taken my Toyota everywhere, and I couldn't say enough good things about the experience. The features are amazing. The reliability is second to none. The ride is smooth. The spaciousness, the interior, all of it. Toyota is top of the line when it comes to your car. So if you want to get a Toyota, you can check out our friends at your Front Range Toyota stores. And our guy Unc knows all about the Front Range. But you can check out AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of CU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR.
Yeah, I feel just compelled to do this, man, because this partnership that we have with DNVR and the Pregame Show, this mashup of the DNVR Pregame Show, it's growing weekly, every episode. So people may not know just because we said it before. Let me tell you something I've learned, RK. If you're facing west and the sun is setting and you can see the mountains, you're on the damn Front Range.
Damn right. Damn right.
Let's go. He's got it nailed down.
That's just institutional knowledge.
Oh, man. Earned, not given.
All right. On Tuesday, we got preseason rankings from the Big 12. We got the whole preseason poll, and then we'll get into the all Big 12 preseason first team. But let's start with the poll. Colorado comes in at 11th. Not a single first place vote. And again, we'll get into the team ranks, but they get the first team quarterback and they get the defensive preseason player of the year, but they're ranked 11th. Your reaction?
I wish I had the Coach Prime sign where it says bull junk. And I would just hold it up because that is total bull junk. I will tell you this. I enjoy being underestimated. I want people to believe that. So go right ahead and, think we're 11th out of this bunch. It's one of those things that I think this team is so locked in that it's not even bulletin board material, that they don't even need it to get motivated. Like they're self-motivated and hungry, to get this bowl game and get Miss Peggy to a bowl game and go to December 7th in Dallas, Texas for the Big 12 championship. That it's the kind of thing that you don't even have to pin up in the locker room as motivation. But it's absurd to think that with Shedeur Sanders, because this is a quarterback sport now, this is a quarterback league, with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter on both sides of the ball, with this much improved offensive line, this much improved defensive line. Then you got folks back there, corner and safety with the experience they have, not to mention coaches like Sapp and Livingston coming in and Coach D. Lou. I don't understand how you think that net gains you an 11th ranking.
It makes
Perfectly
no sense.
said.
Yeah.
Perfectly said. But I kind of love it. And I hope you're right, Unc. I hope the coaches don't have to use this. But, man, if I were Coach Prime and I went out there on the second practice of when the team gets back on and it's a little lackadaisical, a little lazy, I would call everyone to huddle up and I would just say, I guess they were right.
So 11th place practice.
I thought they were wrong, man. I was hoping they would be wrong, but I guess they were right because that looked like an 11th place team out there practicing me. And so, if you guys want them to be right about you, we can practice like that all fall and we can go win 6 games or 5 games and get 11th place. But I just thought you guys were different. I thought you guys didn't think they were right. I love having that in your back pocket as a coach.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm sure it will be used not only on bad days like you're suggesting. I think it'll be used in general. I just know from this team standpoint, they don't necessarily need it to get going. Khalil Benson is pissed off every day. He doesn't need this. He doesn't need this to be, more pissed off. And so from that kind of dynamic, they're self-driven and they're player-led. But it is offensive. But I would rather them have me at 11th than 1 because I don't want to rest on anything. I want to go into this thing hungry with something to prove. But 11th is like, come on, man. You act like Shedeur's gone, Travis is gone. You act like we didn't revamp the line on both sides of the ball. I don't know how you just come up with 11, particularly when, here's the thing, man. I don't know if the Pac-12 in totality has ever been better than it was last year. And then when you look at the Big 12 wasn't stellar. And so you got some moving pieces with those two conferences. We competed against tougher opponents week in and week out than they competed against last year going in. And to drop us at 11th just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I just wish I had a vote So then they would have had the little parentheses 1.
An 11th place. Yeah.
It would have said they got 1 first place vote, and everyone would have come after me, and I would have just get to add to my bookmarks.
Yep. Just line them up.
Yeah. I love it.
On to the preseason first team here. Shedeur is the quarterback, but no wide receivers. No Travis, no LeJohntay. How do you have a first team quarterback, but you don't have any of his wide receivers?
You know, I talk a lot to our wide receivers coach, Jason Phillips. And for the fans out there, you know, please look forward to getting to know him more this season. You know, he was an All-American at Houston, 2 seasons in a row. He led the nation in receptions. And his quarterback, Andre Ware, won the Heisman Trophy. And one of the things that Coach Phillips says all the time, and he was in Andre Ware's wedding, they're cool as can be. One of the things he says all the time when people talk about Andre Ware winning the Heisman, he says, hell, he had to throw it to somebody. And it's the same thing here. If you're saying Shedeur is going to be the number 1 quarterback in this conference, somebody or somebodies are catching the pass. Pick one. You got to have a receiver in because it just makes the math make sense. He ain't throwing to his damn self.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. If it were me, I would put LeJohntay and Travis. And I guess that's a decent segue into Travis being Defensive Player of the Year. Preseason Defensive Player of the Year, according to the Big 12 media. I was trying to figure out how I could phrase this. It's not at all an attempt to take anything away from Travis, but I think not having him on the offensive list at all and then having him as Defensive Player of the Year is kind of a just miscalculation of who Travis is and what he's going to do for this team. Like, to me, it would be better to have him as preseason player of the year, conference player of the year, and then have him on both offense and defense. I think that the Big 12 writers and media who voted on this are going to be in for a bit of a shock for how much Travis contributes on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you so much. I don't know what the hell to add to it, man. You know, you have this situation here where there continues to be just a dismissal of everything Prime and what it touches can actually accomplish. And so it seems to be the easier bet is to bet negative, and instead of looking at what you've already seen. If you have seen Travis Hunter, high school film, Jackson State film, Colorado film, particularly pre-injury, how do you not have him as that do-all pocket knife, Swiss Army knife, and have him ranked high in every regard imaginable? Because he's shown you he can do it, and you know Shedeur is going to be looking for him. And you know on defense, he's able to bait quarterbacks into the throw by guarding spots and guarding 2 men at the same time and then breaking on the ball like no one can in the nation. Again, just with the 11th ranking, I don't get it. I don't know how you don't have 2 receivers listed with Shedeur, and I don't know how you don't have Travis checked in every damn box he could be checked, even an assumption on special teams.
And it's weird. I don't mean to be, like, complain about the fact that he got preseason Defensive Player of the Year. Like, I think that's great. Good on the voters for recognizing his talent. I just think it's a misunderstanding of who Travis is. I think that I don't think he's going to get enough action on the defensive side of the ball from the quarterbacks to win Defensive Player of the Year, to be honest, because I know at the end they're going to be voting on stats. And I wish he would, but I don't think he's going to get enough targets to get 5-6 interceptions.
Right.
And then I just think his contributions are so vast that it makes more sense for him to be the Big 12 Player of the Year.
Yep. Agreed.
I love that. I got a slight pushback, even though I understand your logic, on that defensive side. It's just like when Coach Prime, won Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL. Why you kept going after him. Quarterbacks are arrogant. Offensive coordinators are arrogant. Head coaches, are stuck in their ways. They're going to try Travis, and they're going to try him enough, where he's going to make the most of those times when they try him. And it's going to lead to interceptions and pick sixes. So I can see it being a reality because I know people are not sound enough in their analytical thinking to just say, you know what, forget that side of the field he's on. I'm going somewhere else. Somebody's going to try him every game, and at least 50% of those he's going to get a hand on.
You're absolutely right. We saw it against TCU. Throw it at Hunter. I mean,
but
the
they
famous
didn't
clip.
know. They didn't know.
True, but it still happened after that.
Yeah.
UCLA still threw at them with their third string quarterback. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like he almost fully maximized his opportunities last year. The one against TCU, the two against UCLA. He almost had a third against UCLA, got knocked down at the line of scrimmage. And then the one that he almost had against Arizona is like the only missed opportunity I thought he had in terms of being able to bait quarterbacks into it. So I hope he's able to do it. The idea of maybe shifting him into the slot for some period of time, I think allows him to do that a little bit more. And so hopefully he's able to capitalize on that. And I hope you guys are right. I hope teams continue to try him because especially there's like one or two highlights or whatever of players making plays on him out there.
Yeah.
That, you know, every fan base in the country is trying to beat into the ground as if a cornerback should never get beat.
Right.
But hopefully, you know, you've got Oklahoma State's quarterback and Nebraska's quarterback are watching those highlights like, oh, you can just throw it up on Travis and win.
Right.
And I hope they see that.
Kind of with that, going back to the offensive side of the ball, I feel like LeJohntay should have been returner too. And he's not respected in that regard at all either. It's Dre McCray out of Texas Tech.
Did he win it last year?
I don't know exactly. I can tell you he had 26 returns for 717 yards. That's 27.6 average. It's pretty good. Only one touchdown. Kick returns. He didn't even have a punt return.
Interesting.
But we know LeJohntay, you just get the ball in his hands and he can move his way out of a phone book with how he moves. And he's going to be returning kicks and he's going to be catching a lot of passes.
I think he's going to be returning punts, not kicks.
Well, either way, still, he should be in the conversation for first-team returner.
I think that the sleeper first-team returner is going to be Jimmy Horn. I think he ends up being the starting kick returner for this team. And I don't remember how many times he did it before the Utah game, but in the Utah game, he almost had 2 touchdowns.
I don't even think we had many returns last year, honestly.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, playing at Folsom, if there's one downside of it, it's that you don't get to return a lot of kicks.
We had 14 total kick returns last year.
Okay. How many did Jimmy have?
He led the team with 7. He had a 26.1 average.
So a yard behind. I'm telling you, Jimmy is returning a touchdown this year.
I agree on that.
Unc, on the defensive side of the ball, BJ Green also makes the preseason defensive first team. I guess just your impression from him so far and what you've seen from him in player-led practices and all that.
In the words of Marshawn Lynch to our head coach during the Super Bowl, he's just about that action, boss.
Love it.
You know, he is quietly going about his business, but when he is out there going about his business, he makes a lot of noise. He has a lot of self-confidence. He is listening to the coaches. And so not only is he being well coached, he is coachable. He loves hanging on to every word and making changes to his game and not just resting on what he has accomplished before he got here. He's learning a new way to use his body and skill set, for this team and to benefit his team. Clearly a guy that's going to be capable of playing on Sundays. I think he's going to make a lot of noise on this team. I was happy to see him, listed with the preseason accolades because I think so many times, and I think this happened with LeJohntay a lot. So many times these writers are so conference influenced because it's been their beat for so many years that they kind of discredit guys who are coming from another place and not really taking a deep look at their film and what they accomplished, making the assumption that, well, they did it in that conference. I don't know if that translates to this one. And speed translates, strength translates. Technique translates, and Green has all of those things and then some.
Speaking of BJ Green's coaches, how about Coach Sapp being out there at Von Miller's pass rush summit this last weekend? I thought it was pretty cool, and then having a couple players join him out there.
Yeah, man. Just one of the things about when you know people, you then know people that they know, and so you have 2 Hall of Famers in this building, and so now the degrees of separation between who can help and influence you and who you could, get some sound advice from on and off the field is just so wide open. And the people that Warren Sapp knows and the game that they know and how to use your body and use technique, to get to the quarterback, I think it's going to yield some tremendous results. And I also think that's why, you saw a defense last year that was giving up all these big runs, being mentioned, favorably this year.
Love it. I love that point too about degrees of separation. I think you could probably make the argument that no player on Colorado is more than 2 degrees of separation from any living NFL legend.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You want to talk
and about half the owners and half the general managers.
Right. Anyone.
Yes.
I mean, you want to talk to Peyton Manning, phone call away.
Right.
You want to talk to Jerry Jones, phone call away.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice. I mean, anyone you can think of, Barry Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
You want advice or a FaceTime or anything from those guys, you're in most scenarios just 1 degree of separation, which is your head coach.
Mm-hmm.
But if he doesn't know them directly, he absolutely knows someone who knows them.
Absolutely. And then the ones he doesn't know directly wish they knew him, and because of that wish factor would do anything for him because they definitely know who the hell he is.
Yep.
All right, let's take a moment to chill before we get back to catching up with Unc here. Shout out to our friends over at Coors Light. We're going to be having a lot of stuff going on here at the DNVR bar. You're chilling right now.
I am
hard.
I was just,
trying to get the air.
Illuminate the sign, the
I
Coors
see.
Light sign. Chill a little bit.
We appreciate your service, bro.
Thank you.
But come down to the bar, hang out with us. We just wrapped up a nice weekend full of Madden, EAFC, and 2K tournaments. I think we're going to do that more. We've got some CFB stuff coming on here at the bar as well. We got the Silver Bullets. We got Coors Light on drafts. We got the Stubby banquet beers also. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get it delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Also, shout out to Bet365, the best in the business when it comes to sports betting apps. And they have been paying me a lot of money lately, so I thank them for that. You can scan the QR code on the screen and use the code DNVR365 when you sign up over at Bet365 to activate the bet and get offer, which is bet $5 or more and get $150 in bonus bets. Just a great place to be. A lot of more interesting stuff coming up when it comes to betting. Got the Olympics coming up. That'll be fun. Haven't had that experience before. British Open or the Open Championship, depending on.
How about the British Grand Prix?
I'm not sure what that is.
That's this weekend.
Anyways, go over to Bet365 and sign up using that code DNVR365. Of course, you must be 21 plus and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Unc, you kind of brought up Warren Sapp, so or we've already talked about him a bit, I guess. But what can you tell us about just your latest meetings with him, hanging out with him, how he's just assimilating into the locker room and all that?
Man, I love the guy to death. He wears his emotions on his sleeves. He will tell you over and over, you're going to hear me before you see me. And his voice is just booming through the hallways at all times. Had an interesting Wednesday with Warren with him last week where, he talked about finally embracing and getting to some of those challenges of being a coach, where he had a situation where some of the things he was instructing, wasn't catching on, and he was starting to reflect and say, hey, am I cut out for this? So he reached out to some coaching mentors of his, and they told him that's just part of the process. So he is this rough, gruff, in-your-face guy, but he's also human and wants to learn and be the best he can possibly be. And I think the way he teaches and instructs these young men, not so much from a, cussing and yelling space, but a motivation and encouragement space, you're going to see a much improved D-line individually and collectively. And it's the same thing with the coaches. You would think that Coach Sapp, Coach D. Lou, and Coach Dancy have been together 10 years because of their chemistry and communication and belief in each other. And that translates to the players. So can't say enough about what Warren Sapp, another gold jacket in the building, is bringing for this team. But it really goes beyond just the defensive line because he impacts and touches and talks to every player in the building.
And you bring up an interesting point there. That's something I've been thinking about recently is Coach Prime has placed such a premium on chemistry and, team bonding, if you will, this season. But we talk so much about it with the team. We don't talk quite as much about it with the coaching staff, but it's just as, if not more important, for the coaching staff to be on the same page, believing in each other, trusting in each other. Do you feel like that has taken a step up this year?
Absolutely. And I can again start with Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp, when he comes to the cafeteria, he puts his phone in the container. Whether he is sitting with other coaches or players, he's doing what the players are required to do. He's putting his phone down. When you walk by the defensive meeting room or Coach Livingston's office or Coach Mathis's office, you're going to see Coach Mathis and Coach Livingston hanging out and talking. Whether they're talking football or family, they are joined at the hip. The same thing with linebackers Coach Andre Hart and the time he spends with Coach Livingston. You can just see throughout the building how these coaches, even with the newer coaches, are tighter and more cohesive and work better together this year than they were this time last year.
Love it. I absolutely love it.
Just going back to what you said about the D-line, Unc, and how it's going to be a force for this team. The EA College Football rankings came out last week, and the offense was in the top 10. I think we all kind of expected that, with Shedeur, Travis, the weapons they have, the improved offensive line, all that stuff. But then the defensive rankings come out. Colorado was ranked 18th. And that caught a lot of people off guard because they saw that and they put 2 and 2 together. They realized this team's going to be ranked top 25 now in the game. And that caused just a uproar. I mean, everyone was upset and mad about that. Just your reaction when you saw all that unfold.
I don't get the anger and from folks who don't think we should be there. One, we should be higher. This team was in the top 25 several times last year. The Pac-12 kept people in the top 20 and even top 15. And it was only when we got to those parts of the schedule where we were playing each other that somebody's going to get dropped out. If you play a conference mate and both are ranked, somebody's dropping down lower. But when you look at the talent that's on the offense, the talent that's on the defense, and as realistic as these games are designed to be and what they bring to the table as far as matching what really takes place on the field, if anything, man, that defense probably should be around 12 or 13 and not back there in the high teens. What we have put together out there where Coach Livingston is drawn up to get these guys to bring out the best of them and what they are capable of doing versus it being just totally scheme driven and you got to learn the scheme no matter what. I like the way our defense is built, man. I think that we're going to be video game in reality. No more giving up those big runs at the wrong moment. No more silly pre-snap penalties at the wrong moment. This defense is designed to get the ball back to the offense, but there's also an emphasis on this defense is designed to score as well.
Just on that note, we've talked about it a little bit, but you saw it and you lived it firsthand. Can you just shed a little bit of light on the differences between Jackson State year one and year two under Coach Prime and just the way that defense and that running game, I think, most importantly, transformed over those 2 years?
Man, brother, I had a lot of deja vu moments last year. Prime's first year at Jackson State would have been that COVID season. Yep. We played spring ball that year. And that was the year where he said here what he's now saying in Colorado. You better get me now because now that I see what I got, now that I see what I need, you won't get me in the future. And so we started off hot that spring, winning a few games in a row that people didn't think we're going to win. The wheels started to come off because COVID was impacting who could play, not only with ourselves, but games were canceled because of opponents. So you didn't end the season, how you would have expected, a Coach Prime season to go. However, when you had that first full off season of not only recruiting, but strength and conditioning and a true fall camp getting ready, the guy goes undefeated in conference and wins the conference championship 2 years in a row. And it was predicated with the defense. Although you had Shedeur Sanders there and you had Shane Hooks and Keith Corbin and Malachi Wildman at receiver, guys who've gone on to play, some pro ball here and there. Although you had that high-powered offense, it was the defense that made the difference because no one scored on that Jackson State defense more than 3 times in a game. And I'm not talking about 3 touchdowns. I'm including even 3 field goals at time. Jackson State goes over to ULM, Louisiana Monroe, who used to be at one time a national championship program, coached by Bowden over there now. The game was like 12-9. The defense, man, was the star of the team. And I'm looking forward to that at Colorado with Coach Livingston. What he does reminds me a lot of what Coach Dennis Thurman was doing at Jackson State. And it's simply this: who are my best 11 guys? Let me design the defense around what they do and what they do well. Let me design the defense around taking them away from what they don't do well. And I'm going to keep my best 11 on the field at all times situationally. And you're going to shut some people down that way.
It brings me back to the spring when I would talk to you after practice, and more often than not, you would say the defense won the day. And it wasn't really because Shedeur was playing bad or anything. It was just because this defense is that much better. Like, the defensive line is going to make a difference this year. The improvements at the second level, the third level, like, it's all massive, and it's going to lead to W's really this season.
Yeah, and it's going to lead to complementary football. I think one thing that is happening when you have the ones going against twos going against the ones, what have you, this defense is only making Micah better at running back. This defense is only making Travis better on defense, and then also the receiver that's going against Travis when he's on offense. And, sometimes, depending on who that receiver is, they're going against the best player they're ever going to see. So iron sharpens iron. These players are bringing out the best of each other. So I think you're right, Jake. I think not only is defense, arrow pointing up, what that defense now does to the offense is only making them better. We just talked about Green and what he brings to the table. That means we have an offensive lineman that's facing that at practice. Mm-hmm. How is he not getting better facing that?
Love it, man. I'm kind of sticking with that tone. Just, your last month back in Boulder and stuff. What'd you see at player-led practices? What stood out to you?
I think the biggest thing that stood out to me from a PLP standpoint was just that the seriousness that the bulk of the team takes it compared to last year. Shedeur, his nickname is grown. He's always been more mature than people his age range. But last year, PLPs, you saw a lot of joking and playing and, kind of playing grab ass between plays and not getting back to the ball. This year, man, these guys practice like the coaches are there. They're into it. They're dialed up. They're calling each other out on mistakes. You see a new guy like Khalil Benson from the offensive line not taking any slack, pointing at guys, calling them out by name, making them look him in the eye, and getting better each practice and taking every rep seriously. That's something you didn't see this time last year. You didn't see leaders developing doing PLPs, and you certainly didn't see guys calling each other out, holding each other accountable doing PLPs. So I think that's only going to spell much more success going into August when the coaches are hands-on involved, because these guys have been coaching themselves. And anytime you can get player-led teams, you're going to have a better team.
Awesome.
Just kind of with that, what new guys have stood out to you? Who have you talked to? Who's maybe stood out off the field, just speaking to you as new players?
I'll start with Khalil Benson. As much as he can raise some hell out there and hold people accountable, when the practice is over, he is Mr. Polite in the cafeteria holding conversations. And you look at some of the new receivers that have come in. I love the way I'm seeing them navigate with each other. That receiver room is deep, and they know from their coach, Jason Phillips, that we ain't playing no favoritism in here. The best guys are going to be out there. So there's this healthy, competition amongst them from the spring, which carried over when the new guys started arriving for, summer session 1. So I love what I'm seeing chemistry-wise amongst the whole team. When Coach Prime thought to do that leadership summit, made phones not allowed on the table in the cafeteria, forced guys to kind of hang out, get to know each other, sit with somebody you don't know. Coach Prime might randomly walk up and ask you, and he points at a guy, hey, do you know him? Tell me about him. So this team has put a lot of focus on getting to know each other, which he believes is going to help them play better through these adverse moments. So across the board, I think you've had a lot of individuals, step into that. Cameron Silman Craig, you look at what JB is doing now that he switched roles. And again, man, some of the coaches, Dancy has switched roles. And then you have a revamped defensive line coaching room. But chemistry-wise, you wouldn't think it was new. And that's my biggest takeaway is how these guys have stepped up and embraced getting to know each other and winning right now.
If you had to guess right now, and you don't have to give me a curated list because I'm putting you on the spot, but Who are some of the guys that you expect to get the L for leader on their jersey this year?
Oh, great question. Great question. From tenacity and work ethic, I'm going to say Khalil, give me Green, JB,
BJ Green
Cameron.
or Mekhi Hill Green?
I was thinking BJ Green, but Mikhail is a good one too.
Yeah.
You definitely could have two Greens. Excellent point there, but I was going with BJ Green. Some of the old dogs like Cameron Silman Craig, of course, Travis, of course, Shedeur, but picking one or two from defense, Khalil Benson, and then Green from defense as far as new guys. Because what they do in the weight room, leadership by example, what they do, to attention to detail when they're running gases and you got to touch the line, like they're doing all the little things, man.
Love it. I'm calling my shot on Tyler Brown too.
Ooh, great pick.
Oh yeah. That to me that was almost a given because he would have been one last year, but having this sit out and let me tell you, man, I talked to Coach Phil Lodeholt. This is going to be an interview that would drop in next week on the pregame show. Not which day, not sure which day. So I gave Coach Lodeholt just some names and first thoughts, and I say to him Tyler Brown, and he says strongest player I've ever been around at any level.
Let's go, man.
Wow.
Now, if you have a guy that's played college ball at the level he did and played in the NFL, for him to say, I am now coaching the strongest guy I've ever been around at any level, that lets you know how strong Tyler Brown is.
That's remarkable. And also makes me really excited for Tyler's draft stock.
Mm-hmm.
God, I wish I could remember the guy's name, but I remember there was a guy out of Oregon State a couple years ago who set the record for bench press at the combine, and he got drafted in like the second, third round just off of that. You know, it's like if you have a guy who's 99 strength, you'll take a flyer on him. And not that Tyler doesn't bring a lot of other things to the table, but if he can show NFL teams that he's that strong, that's going to really help his draft stock.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Again, going back to our interview with Dukes on Wednesday, he spoke a lot about Cam Michael. Dukes is from that Atlanta area. He's been familiar with him. He said he's a dog. He said he could play wherever he wants on the field, basically. I'm just curious what you've seen from him, if you've spoken to him, what it's been like meeting him and stuff as well.
I think that's one of the things the coaches love, about what they have. And I'm saying this on offense and defense across the board in general, but then about Cam specifically, is, man, these coaches are just hot tour because you can move these guys around, man. You've now, like, you look at the talent you got on defense. Now you get to do creative things with Travis, like moving the slot. And you got Jake. You got to stop laughing at the hot tour, man.
What does that even mean?
I'm laughing at him.
It means I'm excited to go to work. When you spit on that thing, man, you are happy and eager to go to work. And when these coaches see the level of talent they have and that this talent can move across the scheme from one side to the other, from one hash to another, you can't help but hot tool and spit on that thing is what I'm saying.
That's insane. That is absolutely insane. I wish we had live comments right now because they are losing their minds.
I'm setting a reminder for 1:15 on Friday so I can tune into the show and watch this and see the chat's reaction to this.
Oh, my God.
So, look, man, I'm just telling you, just answering your question, man, when you have a guy that you can play in multiple positions and multiple schemes, you get excited. Coaches love what they have, man.
Oh, man.
I don't know how to segue out of this, but we're going to draft 4th of July thing. So.
All right, let's do it. Let's do
it. The rules briefly. Are there any
are no
rules?
rules.
Okay.
The rules are you have to be able to draw some sort of line between this and the 4th of July.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm first up. I pick America.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean,
yeah,
how do I
that's
not?
fine. That's fine. I mean, yeah, sure. Cool.
What do
they are used at other dates in the year, but if I'm thinking 4th of July, I got to go fireworks.
Okay. Man, I can't believe you guys let this fall to me, but let me just take barbecue food.
Yep.
To me, that's I get a wraparound pick here too. So I get my two number one favorite things. I don't know how to boil this down, and maybe we just go with it, but it's just like day drinking in the sun.
Yeah.
Like that. Those are that's why 4th of July is my favorite holiday. Day drinking in the sun and then eating like smoked brisket afterwards is it's pretty much the peak of existence as far as I'm concerned.
You know, you made a very general pick there, and I love it with your barbecue foods because I was going to like name something like ribs. But the truth is, down here in the South, we barbecue every damn weekend. So I'm not even going to associate that with just the 4th. But I will associate this with the 4th. This is a big time for family reunions in the South because, you got that built-in holiday, and you're typically going to get the day off after it. So like when it falls on a Thursday, you're off to Friday. So it's a 4-day weekend. And people always choose that for family reunion. So put family for me at number 2.
It's a great one, and one that has become a much bigger part of my 4th of July over the last few years. When I was younger, it was all about, hanging out with the buddies. Now it's all about hanging out with family, and I got to say that's a feature, not a bug.
It is. Great pick, Unc. I thought you were about to steal my pick there, and that's time off from work.
Wow. You hate us that much, huh?
Now, I'm not thinking about me. I'm thinking about the people watching this. What do you think they're most jazzed about for this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, we love a Thursday holiday because no one's expecting you to come back on Friday.
Right.
So that's a good one.
Am I allowed to pick Coors Light with my next pick?
I think it's kind of wrapped into mine, to be honest.
Is it?
You can take it. It's fine. I'll let you have a piece of my pick.
I mean, if you're going to dispute it, I'll change it. But
I just like it being on there. Honestly, it's a good look for us.
That's why I picked it. Unc, your final pick.
Man, this one, I really don't want to say it because it can be a negative, but it also could be a positive because people need to stay safe. Let me tell you what happens 4th of July week or weekends. The damn roadblocks. Because from that Sunday drinking and Coors Light, like there are roadblocks all over Mississippi and Jackson, where I am right now. So give me roadblocks. They always pick up on 4th of July, so y'all be safe out there.
Wait, you're picking that as one of your favorite things about the holiday?
No, it's all things 4th of July. I told you it's a negative, but it's also a positive. Like it's designed to keep drunks off the road. I get that. It's keeping us safe. But you ain't going nowhere and not seeing no roadblocks. You're going to see fireworks. You're going to see family. You're going to see roadblocks.
Wild pick, but all right. I respect it. I'm going to just go with one. This is probably not something that everyone gets to do, but recently been more of a part of my 4th of July, which has now just become an elite part of it, which is boating.
I almost picked lakes.
Yeah. But yeah, whether you're on a lake or an ocean or a bay, like being out on a boat, you've got some you've got that God Bless the USA song blasting. Lee Greenwood, I think, is by. And you're just ripping a Coors Light, shirts off, hair's blowing in the wind. Yeah, that's again, one just the peak, maybe the peak.
And about a mile from the marina or the boat launch, there's going to be a roadblock.
That's true.
Well, I'll be Ubering, so they don't got to worry.
There you go. We got a few minutes. Is there anything else you want to clear the chamber on here?
Oh man, no, I'm good.
What about for you, Unc? You got anything else you want to throw out there?
I don't know if you want to toss me clearing the chamber. When you use words like that.
Oh God.
I've already worked in Hot 2 a couple of times. Now you want me to clear the chamber?
I'm
not going to touch it. I'm not touching it. I don't want to clear the chamber right now.
Please don't touch it. What's your go-to 4th of July meal or 4th of July weekend meal?
Baked beans that have the meat in them, man.
Oh, nice.
Oh, my God. I love some baked beans. Oh.
Baked beans underrated for sure.
Baked beans with barbecue food, that's a must-have.
Kind of like what Neely said. If you're having brisket, maybe toss some of the burnt ends in those beans there.
Yeah.
Oh
Speaking
my
of
God.
burnt ends and beans, we're going to what I believe are the best burnt ends and beans in the world. We're going to have when we go to the KU game this year.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Can't
I'm
wait.
looking forward to it.
I mean, that's it. That's just like their main thing. You know how you go to like different places in barbecue and you're like, what's the thing? Like their thing in Kansas City is burnt ends.
Yep.
And then I don't know if they claim the beans, but their beans are better than anyone else's I've had. What about you? What's your go-to? Like I know you said on Monday it's all about the like smoked meats. What's the go-to?
I mean, yeah, brisket's probably the most ideal one. It does take a lot of time though. But I mean, really anything. Ribs, it's a great one as well. Even if you just like reverse sear some steaks on the smoker or something. Like I love doing that.
That's actually such a sign of getting older when you start to appreciate, like you mentioned the brisket that takes so long. That's kind of like it's kind of a feature of it.
Yeah.
Like got to start it the night before and you're checking on it. Like my dad literally like sets an alarm in the middle of the night to like go check on the brisket. I'm like, you start to respect it rather than just like, what can I make in 90 seconds?
Right.
Absolutely. You know, even for the ladies out there, this is a good time of year. You know, you're deciding on the husband and evaluating should you continue to date this guy. Any guy that rushes his meat, if he doesn't take care of his meat the night before, that's not a guy you want.
we got to end the show.
Well said, Unk. Unk, when are you going to be back? What are you working on the pregame show over there?
Man, we got a lot of sit-down interviews we knocked out while we were there for Summer 1, and so we're going to slowly be rolling those out, exclusives with like Coach Lodeholt, with strength and conditioning, with recruiting, just some good conversations with Reginald Calhoun Jr., with the Alliance, you know, just some great conversations, you know, that doesn't matter when you put them out because you're talking about longevity stuff. So those will be rolling out the rest of this month. Looking forward to, you know, getting back there, man, because it is literally around the corner now. It's football time because once that last week of July gets here, man, we are rolling and we're nonstop into the national championship.
It's unbelievable. It's happened so fast. I mean, we've got 4th of July this week. We got Big 12 Media Days next week. And then it's just like 1 week before we're off and running.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
That's it. It's that 1 week in between. And the players will, you know, still be there finishing up Summer 2. And when Summer 2 ends, you probably get like a quick weekend off before you got to report back for that first team meeting. But you're talking about Monday, July 29th is practice 1.
To go with that, Unk, I've just gotten this question a bit. How long is this 4th of July break last for the team and the players? When do they report back here in the near future?
You get a nice little break, man, because, you know, you look at you're getting the 2 weekends. You get the weekend before July 1st, and then you get the weekend after the 4th. So everybody's going to be back that Sunday to report back in with summer session 2 workouts that Monday. So when you put that together, you know, you're about 7 to 9 days, depending on when you get out. So nice little break. It's enough time that you need to schedule some workouts for yourself because you don't want to come back out of shape. Because, man, I'm going to tell you, and you guys know it because you live there, it doesn't take long to get unused to the altitude. You can go somewhere and not grind it out, and you come back and it's like you've been gone 2 years and not a week.
Yep, for sure.
We'll do this again soon, Unk. Hope to see you soon, man.
Miss you, man. I'm enjoying the haircuts. I just recommend that you need to get a part, you know, on your right side to just add some juxtaposition to the part on RK's left side, and we'll be balanced there.
You know what someone told?
If you guys do it, I'll get a part down the middle.
Hey, you got to get the Chauncey Billups. He had like a little like lightning bolt back when he played at CU.
Or do the reverse.
Don't dare me.
Reverse mohawk.
Don't dare me.
I think we do. I want just the Sapp. Give us the Sapp honk.
Yeah.
That's. I think it works for him. I don't know if I can pull it off.
You can have the mohawk Tua.
Oh my God.
Miss you, Uncle. We'll see you soon.
We'll talk to you soon, brother. Go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.